Buraja. Ulisema mkali.
Sports Mtaani tunawasuka maneno michezo from the eye of the people. Henry back at it again with another video. Yeah, we said in this channel we talk about anything positive that's happening in sports in the motherland, East Africa to be specific on this event. We are talking about the East African Secondary School Games being hosted by Uganda at Amus Academy. Yeah, so this is an annual event that's hosted by the school associations within the region of East Africa. It brings together Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and possibly Southern Sudan. And if there's any other country like Burundi, those are supposed to be attending these events. So the tournament began a week ago, and so far it's been amazing what's happening in the ground. From information gathered, the state of facilities that is being used to host this event is impeccable. The standard is so high that has been set by the Ugandan Sports Association, and this is something worth positively talking about. And we articulate this so that whoever is watching and within the region, we should try and maintain such standards to ensure that sports is uplifted within the region. So the tournament began last week, I believe on Wednesday. And so far the basketball tournament has been of high standard. The Rwandese team, wow, and the Ugandan team have set a high standard for the rest of the region to emulate. And wow, what a tournament it has been. The facility being used, the courts are so well manicured, and I believe it brings up the standard. The soccer event too has not let down. The teams Musingo from Kenya and Upper Hill are doing pretty well so far. Yeah, I'd say that. Remember also volleyball, handball, and these are the ball games are represented in this tournament. But something that needs to be spoken is the word that's going around in the tournament. You see people talk, coaches share, and at the end of the day, the most important thing, they are trying to articulate what they think is best to improve the standards of the game in the region. The number one thing that stands out is how people are amused or so excited about the facility that they use in this time for the tournament.
Sasa tuko na coach wa Njiko High School, pia veteran sana wa coach basketball junior teams. Amekuwa Maseno School for a very long time before aende Njiko. Coaches, unasema nini kuhusu Fiesta 2024?
Fiesta 2024 naona kama imekuwa organized vizuri sana na tunatarajia itachezwa vizuri.
Okay. In terms of facility, is there a gap between Kenya and Uganda?
There is.
What can you say about it?
This Kenya we are slightly behind.
Yes.
The Ugandans, you find their schools are well equipped.
Yes.
And their game facilities are actually better than ours, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now in terms of infrastructure unasemaje? In terms of uko Tanzania ukiangalia infrastructure tuko nazo Uganda, Kenya na sasa wewe Tanzania unaweza sema nini?
Infrastructures ukiangalia especially courts, we have courts, but in Kenya I've seen wameinvest sana in courts. Niliona last time Africa Giants of Africa wamejenga courts in Marsabit. Hiyo obvious development ya basketball itakuwa high. But also tukiangalia in Tanzania we have players ambao no, they are abroad. I have a player like Atiki. He's an international player. Saizi alipata academy in US. Itakolejete. So I know in terms of players and infrastructure, Tanzanians are also coming up.
Uganda has done a pretty commendable job, and everybody is saying if the level of the facilities being used by the young, talented students throughout the region to emulate this, wow, Africa or East Africa can really improve, especially with the highlight of Southern Sudan performing so well at the Olympics. So that is an inspiration. So in Kenya and Tanzania, the standards are not as impeccable as what we are seeing in Uganda, but now that is something that we need to take on board. So kitu mzuri ni mzuri. Amus, you guys, wow, You've set a standard so high, and we really love this. The number two thing that is being spoken about is, you see, the high school level and primary education system in East Africa has created a platform to nurture sports, and they've been consistent, and their tournaments have been regular. Each year, people participate in this tournament, and talents are nurtured through this structure that is available, and that is something that can never be ignored. If something that is happening that is great, yeah, we need to highlight and say kudos to those who've been managing, especially the Ministry of Education and the primary and secondary sports associations. They've done something so nice and migrated it, or even made it possible for people to play at the regional level, which is the East Africa level. That is so nice. But all the coaches and the officials are talking about something that is worth highlighting. Because at the end of the day, you can do all this, but without transition to the next level for these players to be absorbed in clubs and colleges and the national teams, it's all futile. So that is a level of concern that everybody seems to highlight as one key misfailure or misdeed that is available, or a gap that exists. They say like, hey, if we do all this and bring these kids or students to this level, after this tournament, only probably 5% transit, because our universities and colleges do not absorb this talent. Or if at all these people transition, they put emphasis on education such that there's no system that allows them to equally polish their talent in sports. So that is something that the College and University Sports Association and the governments within the region are supposed to sit, because remember, sports is majority for young people, and they make millions out of it in Europe and Asia and Americas. It's only in Africa where this talent is being lost after the high school level. And this is a level of concern that needs to be addressed. And somebody, especially the minister, if I talk about in the region, they should sit down and find a way where academies can also be, can mushroom to absorb this talent, to polish them, because at this level and the standards we are seeing, these students are so good, and they only need one last level for them to be professionals.
Why is it that we are not experiencing smooth transition between the junior teams and the national team? Like each year, we generate players from secondary school games. But when you look at the national teams, you're having aged players, 35 years and above. What's the challenge?
In secondary, we are trying so much with the little that we have to encourage the boys and the girls to play and develop this talent. We lose it at the college level. Our colleges do very little to support that talent. In fact, most of the talent die at college level because no serious efforts made, no motivation for our students, and they end up going nowhere. That's the most unfortunate part of it.
The level of officiation has also come out as something that has constantly improved over the years. We no longer have those days when officials would basically root for a team just because they come from a particular region. We have international officials. Yeah, we have officials, for example, in basketball from the Federation of International Basketball Association. We have professional referees who have officiated international games. In soccer, the same. We have international referees that have done regional tournaments. And this has come out to improve the standard of the game locally. So that is something also that we like to commend and give kudos to the local federations for individual sports for ensuring that they bring their best during such a a tournament.
FIBA referee, swali mbili Eric. Ushako exposed sana in terms of basketball na unatoka Kenya. Na kuna challenge kubwa watu wanalilia. What's your last assignment? Unaenda internationally soon?
Yes.
Unaenda?
For South Africa. On the 18th final round of basket. That will be May 29. And then after that, Uganda season Yabari.
But one thing also comes out that needs to be addressed. So there's a concern that certain players are over age. Remember, the high school system in Kenya makes somebody to be at the age of under 19 to be eligible to play for this tournament. But the education system in some of the regional countries are different, because like in Uganda, people go up to Form 6. So you'll get people who are 20-something in these teams. And when it comes to representation, you can never alienate, because the system is such a kind of setups that it involves people who are still in the high school level. So based on that, you find that probably there's some teams that are advantaged based with the fact that they can attract an added 2 years age difference in their units, and others like probably Kenya and Tanzania or Uganda or Rwanda or regional teams who cannot do that. So there's been a cry of certain teams claiming that some players are older than the age bracket they are supposed to represent. But that is something that can be addressed. It's not a big issue that I think would bring such kind of division when it comes to the tournament. It's something that can easily be mitigated, and I think the organizers of the regional games have been looking at ways to try and address this.
The Southern Sudans are so good, and they are much above us. And I think it's very bad, because most of the Sudanese, we have them here, and we play along with them, and yet we cannot produce a team. Some of us think very, very seriously that we could be developing the Sudanese talent at the expense of ours.
Yes.
And we really need to rethink on how to encourage our talent, because looks like we are lagging behind, and yet we are supporting others to develop their talent.
Most important at the end of the day is how to develop these games. And so far, the East Africa region is trying so hard to ensure that its young people get a platform to nurture their talents and improve. And by such competitive and well-organized tournament, I think the region is seeing a positive way on how talent within the young people can be exported and economically matured to ensure that these young people use their talent for economic benefit. This is Henry and Amal. See you on the next one.